Well, hello, friends. I picked up some pieces from an old dump yesterday up there in Damn Deer Hills, and I thought I would give a little insight into how I make kinetic sculptures. Full disclosure, I already put these pieces together and figured out how I want it to go, but I started with this thing, which has got these two holes, and I thought it wants to be like that. So this old valve from some kind of engine fit in there pretty well. And then I saw, okay, that spring, I have a thing about boingy springs. I have for a long time. And this ball thing fit right on there. So that was good. Then I saw this doohickey can go in there, more or less. And these pieces all move. That wants to move like that. But the serendipity I found, of course, this will all be, there'll probably be some welding and I'll probably be using a lot of Loctite, high strength Loctite on this piece. But when you go like this, that little ball wants to turn, which I thought was pretty cool. So I have this thing, and I thought, okay, well, there's this spring, so let's try and put that on there and make it go like this, kind of. So this is set. Get this out of my hands out of the way. This is set in a stand, and the main action of this piece would be a movement like this. Listen to that sound. Isn't that delicious, that sound? So much about kinetic art is sound. So I was like, okay, so this does this. How is it going to be powered? And I hang on to vintage and antique electric motors. So this is an old motor from a meat slicer. Pretty vintage, pretty cool. And I was thinking, okay, well, this thing is in a stand and it's going like this. So how do I create that movement? Well, I need a pulley with a piece of piano wire on it attached to this, so that when the pulley goes around, it goes up and down movement. So this is a geared motor, and I was hoping it would spin really slow, because for pieces like this that are kind of going to be sitting there, I call them mecha MERS totems, that are going to be sitting there moving, it's nice if you can slow down the movement, especially since this is an old core from a battery, by the way, especially since these pieces are fragile, and if they were moving too quickly, they would break. So I was playing around with this motor. It's got this handy switch on it. Sometimes these motors without a ground will give you a shock from the casing, which is not pleasant. So it's kind of a risk I took. Look at that old switch, see if I can get you. Oh, now it's not turning on. What happened here? Plugged it in last night and it worked great. Let's see here if I got... It's a non-polarized plug too, so that could be... No, it might have just broke. Let's try something. Nope, I guess it's broke. So much for that, but no matter, because there's motors to be found. So a motor like this would be mounted on a stand with the wheel, and oops, wrong way. And I like to use, to mount motors, I like to use, what do you call them? Hose clamps, actually. Very large ones. So imagine this motor is on a stand. It's turning very quickly. So I thought, well, I don't want this going like, you know, like that. I want it to go more like, you know? So, oops, got it upside down. So I need to change the ratio of this motor speed to the operation of this up and down motion. So that's when I thought, you know, I need a pretty big piece of plywood, probably a piece of plywood pulley. And I found this in my workshop. It's very ancient. I don't even know what it is, but the gear seems to fit. So I figured that will gear it down a bit, then run a, what do you call it? A belt from this to a larger pulley that would then spin and create that up and down motion on a stand. So what's the point of this up and down motion? What are we trying to say with it? Is it just by itself? Is it just doing what it does just because? And it's old and squeaky, and the spring kind of flops around randomly a little bit, which is kind of nice. Or does it have more going on? And I thought, it's really hard to do this. I thought, since I had this cut out of ballet dancers from an old book. Maybe this could have this cut out. Maybe this could have something to do with it, like goes up and down with them on it or something. So that's kind of what I'm working with. I think even without anything attached to it, just a motor turning it, and maybe in the gallery it turns on for a couple minutes at a time, because like this motor is pretty loud. I got really excited about it. So that's kind of one way that I come up with things. I think a lot of other kinetic sculptors, just you have your parts and you just play around and you see what fits, basically. And what fits is the most complicated thing, because it has to fit for a, not just geometrically fit, but fit for a purpose, for a compositional purpose that's imbued with meaning, probably, unless it's just an abstract piece. So that's kind of a little bit of an insight into that doohickey, and thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope the sound's a little bit better on this phone than my other camera. Have a good day. Beep 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 beep.